Hi there everyone, welcome along to Weir Yard up here in the loft with me, Jenny Kirk. And today I've got a review of a product that you might remember from quite a few weeks ago. We did a full video on the Train-O-Matic products. They were sent over for review by Train-O-Matic and basically they were really impressive products, I have to say. I just found that any locomotive I put them in, regardless of manufacturer, they really worked just brilliantly out of the box, so to speak, without needing to really have to mess about with any of the CV settings. I just thought that these were great hassle-free chips. It's also to be said as well that they did seem to improve the performance on a lot of locomotives too, above and beyond what you'd normally expect from a DCC decoder. And one of the products, of course, was that power pack, the smart power pack. And I did say at the time that I wasn't able to review it because I was a bit frightened of making a hash of the soldering. And it is a really fine soldering that you need to do. But today I've managed it. And I want to show you just what I've discovered about how good those smart power packs are. So come with me and I'll show you. Well, this is the locomotive that I've chosen to use. It's actually the Daypol Class 22 that got the 21-pin decoder chip that came from Train-O-Matic fitted to it. And as you'll remember from that review, it was actually really impressive at the time. I was really pleased with it. And, well, it's the one that I've chosen to add the Smart Power Pack to. You can see it there. Now, this locomotive has a lot of internal space. You can see that's where the speaker would go if you sound fitted it, but I've actually used it for the power pack. Now, it is quite a small form factor. You can see there, that's it in its entirety, and it does have its own circuit board underneath. And we're going to discuss a little bit more about that in a bit because it's actually programmable to some extent through CV values. And you'll see as I go into that just what that entails and what that gives you. But when you come to solder it to the actual DCC decoder itself, you can see there some very fine solder tabs. And when you do this, if you're not confident with soldering, then I really do recommend that you find somebody who will just ask nicely and get them to do that. Because if you bridge those solder tabs, then you're going to have huge problems because it will stop the entire chip from working. Now, the Train-O-Matic chips all come with these soldering pads. You can see them there with the black, white and red wires attached to it. But also it's compatible with a number of other brands. And if we look to the paperwork that I've got over here, the ESU chips and the lens chips as well, this can be soldered to and used with. So you don't have to use it with a Train-O-Matic one. But you can see there, Train-O-Matic CV settings. There's 3 actually to change. This won't work if the analog running mode is switched on, and that is quite important. If you're wondering after soldering this up why is it not working, then maybe that CV29 is the key. Once you've got that all set up, you can see there we've got CV123, and this is the time that the power pack will give extra power for. Default value is set to 16, and that equates to 0.25 seconds, and up to 255, which is 4 seconds. Now, a word of warning on this: if your locomotive is power hungry, or indeed has a lot of lights which are going to all be drawing power, don't expect that full 4 seconds. It will basically go until it depletes the capacitors. But they are pretty powerful, so I found with experimentation that you do get a lot of decent running time, even with a big heavy locomotive with lighting running. Now, the startup delay there, CV124, and this is the startup delay value in seconds. Default is set to 10 seconds. Now, you might be asking yourself, why would you want to change the length of time before this actually starts to charge itself? And the reason is simple. Imagine if on your layout you had 5, 10, 15 of these. If they all try to charge themselves up at exactly the same time, it's going to cause your DCC controller to trip out because of the amount of current draw. So this is a really useful feature that allows you to stagger which locomotives start charging and when. So I've set this one to charge after 2 seconds. It's the only one on my layout, so it isn't really a big issue. But if I were to get more, then I would look to kind of stagger them at 1 second intervals, and just to keep the load on the controller down to a minimum. Now I've taken the lid off this Class 22. It's a clip-on lid, but if you have one that is a screw-on lid, just always bear in mind that you don't want any of the screws to end up chewing through any of these wires. Otherwise, you're going to open up a huge can of problems. So I've used some electrical tape to hold this in place, and being a clip-on chassis, it's not going to be a big issue, but it's something to be warned about. And I've used some electrical tape just to keep everything in place. Now I'm going to put this onto the track and let it start to charge up. So 2 seconds is all it's going to take, and I've got my controller up and running. So I've got here the locomotive is already keyed in, number 6318, and I'm going to turn the lighting on, and that just means that we can see it better. Actually, in this light it's a little bit tricky, but there we go. And I'm going to get this locomotive running, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab hold of it. I don't want it trundling off around the layout, but you can see there it's running quite happily, skidding on the spot, and I'm going to lift it right off, and you can see and hear that it is still running. There, it's finally died. So I'm just going to put that down there. I'm going to turn off the controller so it doesn't then try and immediately run away. I'm going to put it back on the track, and I'm going to let that charge again. 2 seconds before it starts to charge. I'm going to turn the lighting back on, and again I'm going to get it running. And then on this time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the wheels. So I'm going to lift it up and show you, and you can see those wheels keep rolling. So that is set to run for the full 4 seconds. So that's what you get out of this Daypol Class 22. And that's quite impressive considering it's just completely off the track there. And that's what the Smart Power Pack does give you. And so in a smaller shunting loco, and I've got one which actually, as a project, I'm quite tempted to see about fitting the Smart Power Pack into one of these. Now these aren't DCC ready, but they are a popular locomotive. They've been in, first off, the Daypol range from the 1990s, and then latterly passed into the Hornby range, and they're still giving good service. In fact, there's two came out in 2019 in their 2019 range, so still out there, still not DCC ready, but you can hardwire them. They're not a difficult hardwire. However, being quite high geared, and the fact that they don't have a huge amount of momentum, when they hit a dead spot in the track and they've got this just the 4 wheels on the underside, they stop dead. So I'm thinking that one of those power packs would really transform one of these. I'd love to try and do that. I'm going to have to fit it into the cab. Now, it's one of the things that it does say on the Train-O-Matic website and also the Train-Fabrique website there. So if I just show you that link, www.tramfabrique.nl/decoders.html, you can get the full guide with how to solder these up. It's also the case that you can add that power pack into pretty much any locomotive. And I've got over here, this is the Helgen Class 7. I've got this actually fitted with a Train-O-Matic 6-pin chip, but I'm going to just take the cab off, and you can see in there, that's where you'd put the power pack. And actually, if I compare that cab to the power pack, it does actually just fit in. I have tried it in the past, and with a little bit of careful work, you can get that power pack to sit just inside that cab, which means that using the solder tabs that are on all of the Train-O-Matic chips, you can very easily add one to pretty much any locomotive that you can fit the chips to. So it's very, very versatile. I've been very pleased with the results and I can well recommend this product. Now I've had this running at very slow speeds and it is just so smooth, it has to be said. So I've tried it running across point work, diamond crossings, scissor crossings, crossovers, electrofrog and insulfrog points, and it really didn't show any sign of stuttering whatsoever. So certainly a great product, and you can see there, even at very slow speeds, it just keeps going. It doesn't matter whether your track's dirty, whether or not you've got insulfrog points, unevenness, whatever the problem is, this just smooths it out and just keeps your locomotive going and going. And I think it's well worth the investment. We're going to put some links down below to Train-O-Matic and Train-Fabrique, just to let you know where you can get these from. And also it includes full diagrams and guides to be able to solder these up. It tells you which wire goes where. Just like I said before, be very, very careful, and if you're not confident with soldering, then find somebody who is, just to make sure that you don't ruin the chip or the power pack in the process. So you can see it just crawling off into the distance here. It is so silky smooth. Very, very pleased with this product. It is definitely one that I can personally recommend. Thanks for joining me here on Weir Yard. It's been great to have your company, and don't forget to like this video, share it too, and also subscribe to the channel, and you'll be the first to know about new videos as and when they go up. But until next time, this is me, Jenny Kirk, saying you take really good care of yourself. It's been great to have your company. Bye for now. I'd like to send out a huge thanks to everybody who supports me on Patreon, but a special thanks go out to Anthony Kidson, Michael Churchwood, Alec Ralph, Anthony Hunt, William Wade, Wayne Johns, Offshore Allen, oorail.co.uk, Tepic, Michael Lockie, and Helen Sink. Thank you. Without you guys, I couldn't do this.